So I sat down and decided to finally watch all 5 seasons of the Ben 10 reboot, and I have to say that I think the show is actually pretty good. Now, put down your pitchforks. Now, let me explain to you why I think the show is actually pretty good, and in some ways actually better than the original. Now, let's start with the aliens. In the original series, Ben only had 10 aliens. It made sense. His name was Ben Tennyson. His name had 10 in the name. He had 10 aliens. The show was called Ben 10. It all worked. As the seasons went on, especially later in the first season, Ben started getting more than 10 aliens. And so, as the other series continued on and on and on, Ben kept getting more and more aliens to the point where I'm like, why is he still called Ben 10? No, seriously, why is the show called Ben 10 when this dude has more than 10 aliens? And that is why I think the reboot does a better job with the aliens. Ben only has 10 aliens. Now, he does get new aliens, but guess what? Some of the aliens get deleted from the playlist. Well, they don't really truly get deleted, according to one of the co creators on Twitter. The aliens actually stay in a pod that is locked, and a new alien gets unlocked. So that works better because it allows for him to re-rotate aliens. Now, I do think it would have been better if some of the old aliens that he had came back and other ones got deleted, so that way you're not stuck with the same, alien popping up over and over again. But I get what they did in the first place. Every season, new aliens go by, you never see them again. Now, there is one flaw that I think that the original series did better than this new series, and that is explaining the aliens. I think that the reboot didn't really do a good job at explaining the aliens. You really don't know anything about these aliens unless you've watched the original series. You barely even get any of the actual alien name classifications for the aliens in the new series. And I just think that was kind of boring. Now, they do have these shorts that they have that explain some things further. But like, I don't know. Like, does anyone actually truly watch extra content for a TV show unless they're like a die-hard mega fan? Because when I was a kid, I never actually cared about all this extra content, like these shorts, these books. I just really cared about what was in the show's canon. Now I know that sometimes like looking outside of the canon is good and it explains and helps clarify some things that wasn't explained in the original body of work. And as a writer, I get that. But however, I think that sometimes when you're watching a TV show, having things explained but not over explaining it to the point where just mindless exposition can actually help benefit the watcher of the television show. And I think that that is what this series needed to do. They didn't really like explain certain things. One example is Forever Night. That was someone who barely got any explanation at all in this new series. And while I'll get to Forever Night later, I think that he just comes off as this villain who's just kind of there. Even though he's the best villain in this reboot, I still think that we don't know nothing really about him. We just know that, I'll just save that for later. Now, onto my next talking point, and that would have to be Ben and Gwen's relationship. I think that the relationship in this reboot is actually pretty better. Now, I wouldn't say it's the best thing because I still have my gripes from it, but I think that in this reboot, their relationship is actually handled pretty good. They feel more like actual family members, but at the same time, they still care for each other. In the original, it felt like they really hated each other. Now, there is one gripe that I have with how the reboot handled their relationship, and I felt like we need to argue more. I feel like there really wasn't this conflict between the two of them. They just always got along all the time. And I don't know, sometimes it kind of gave up this vibe that Gwen didn't really have a character. She was kind of bland and boring in the Benton reboot. Now, I know, I like how they handled their relationship better. But I don't think Gwen's character was given as much depth as she was in the original. I think that this reboot needed to do a better job at having Gwen be more fleshed out character instead of being this nice girl. That is my opinion, because I know that some people actually like the Gwen in this reboot. However, I just feel like Gwen's just kind of there. Same with Grandpa Max. He's another character who's just kind of there. But I get it because they wanted to focus more on Ben, and they really didn't want it to get all this complicated mess with magic and the plumbers. I get it, but I do think that Gwen and Ben relationship in this series was pretty good for the most part. There were moments of kindness, moments of sincerity, and I like that. And I think it was pretty sweet to actually have a more nice relationship. Because growing up, so many shows, the relationship between family members were a mess. They were toxic. They never really got along. They argued all the time. Some were actually very violent. And grown and like when I rewatched a lot of older shows, I'm like, wow, that's a sibling relationship that you're portraying to kids. Not that I care about it at all. Like you can do whatever you want. But I do think that the more tender, kind relationship was good. But I do think that they should add some more arguments here and there. Not a lot, but like a huge couple more arguments. Now, would it even really truly be a superhero show if it didn't have a bunch of villains that pop up every once in a while, but never actually go to jail? But when they sometimes do go to jail, they end up getting out like a week later. It's the best part about superhero media. Don't at me. Now, the classic rogues gallery is back. You know, your Phil Gaxes, your Hex, your Zombozos. But this time, all of them have some new twists. Like Charmcaster. They don't really mention that Charmcaster and Hex are related in this series. There's one episode that they hint at it, but they don't really outright confirm it. And in this Charmcaster, in this series iteration of the series, is literally just a psycho girl who's obsessed with Gwen. Gwen really cares about her, but Charmcaster is obsessed with her, and this is all over because of Michael Morningstar, who in this series is an energy vampire who gets his powers from people who like him. And I think that was interesting, not to say, that that's what Michael Morningstar needed, but I think that it was an interesting twist onto his character. Then you have Phil Gax. In this series, there's more of a connection between Phil Gax and Kevin, which I think is interesting. And I think that that was one thing that I think the original series really didn't do with Kevin. Like, it's try to integrate him more with like Phil Gax, but here they really did it. Phil Gax has been Ben's main villain, and Kevin is like basically a main character, the third main character who also has superpowers. So I think that having a relationship between Vilgax and Kevin was actually a good thing. The movie was actually pretty good. Now, not everything about the villains is great. Like Kevin 11 is kind of a mixed character in this reboot because he's not as menacing as was original, but he's still a bad boy. He's still like more sympathetic, but like in this reboot, they take the ooey bad boy thing way too far because they make him way too sympathetic. He just comes off as incompetent. Like I don't think he's as strong as man. He has his own army traits, which is something that they wanted to do in the original series, but they finally decided to do it here. And I don't know, I don't know, aliens being just rip off of Ben Aliens except for one. It's kind of boring. I don't know. I wish they could have gave him more aliens from the original series, but remix some of it. And as for the Forever Knight is the best villain in the series. Unlike the original series, he's just one person who is recruiting people to go back in time and stop the arrival for aliens. They kept the core essence of the Forever Knight in the original series, but just made it one person. Now, there's one major gripe with the Forever Knight in the series, and they don't really explain him. He's just kind of there. I think that they should have like explained who this person was. Why did he not like aliens? Who is this person? And I think that's another element that the show has that doesn't really explain things. It expects you to know Ben 10 already. And I think that that is a major flaw in this series. But I do think that the villains work here, but I do think that they sometimes got the short end of the stick. A lot of them aren't really explained, but you know what? Do you really need a backstory for every single villain? No, you don't. So with what we got so far, I think they did a pretty darn good job with it. Now, I know there's one thing that might turn a lot of people off from this series compared to the original, and that has to be the 11-minute episodes. And I know what you're saying. 11-minute episodes, that's too short. So many things can't happen. And I have to disagree with it. I think the 11-minute episodes work a lot better than compared to the 30-minute drawn out, slow, sluggish episodes in the original series. I think that the quick paced action, the getting to the point actually helps this series a lot better than the original. And I think that that is one reason that you should give it a watch. I think the show is great. I think it's quick to easy to watch, and I think that everyone should give it a chance. Now, this is like my first major long form video, so I hope that you can please go a little bit easy on me. I was just kind of rambling into a mic, and I do want to do more videos like this. So please like, comment, and subscribe, and sure, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the show is better than the original? Do you think it's on equal footing? See you guys next time.